Hello and g'day! Today we're making various pockets for this portfolio file folder insert cover. I made the portfolio last week, and what it does is these are signatures. I've got 3 signatures here, and the portfolio can act like a signature, or it can just slip in between the signatures in your pages, in your book. All right, so it can be one or the other. So when you open it up, you can just fill it up with any of these pockets that you're making today. You can put them anywhere you like, in any configuration you like. So here's one configuration where I've made the mini file folder. I've made it into a pocket. And here's the small sticky note booklet I've put there. Today we're going to make this library pocket, and you get the printable for the library card. We're going to make this business card slot holder pocket. You can put your goodies in that pocket, or in the back here. And for a bonus, I give you a sheet of the printable blank email business cards. You get a pocket for the small tea cards, and there's a few different ways you can decorate them. There's another way we can make the tea card pocket, and I use a seed envelope to do that. I'll be showing you that one today as well. There's a small sticky note booklet and the large sticky note booklet. Yeah, and this is just using designer papers or cardstock, and this one here is the printable in the kit. You get this printable in the kit. All you do is cut it out, score it, and that one's ready to go. This one you just use the pattern to trace around on your own paper or your own cardstock. What else have I got to show you? The mini file folder. So all it is you cut out your pattern, fold it in half, and decorate it however you like. So we'll be making that one today as well. All the patterns are available for these in PDF, and I've made an FCM cut file for your scan and cut machine. The link will be below. Now we've got a lot to get through, so let's get stuck into it. I'll just clear my table and we'll get started. We'll start by making this library pocket. There's a few ways you can get this colour to make the pocket. I've got the printable for the library card as well. You get this in the kit, so it comes as a printable. There's 2 on the first page and 4 on this second page, and it's pretty easy. Just print it out on this cardstock here I used. I'll put it on the screen for you. And when you print it out, all you've got to do is print it in high quality. You know, if you really want it to print nice, print it in the high quality. If your print is really good, you can use your normal setting. Just cut it out and there it is. And on this one, I put a date on it as well. But we'll get to that one in a minute. We'll make this first. If you haven't got any heavy paper or light cardstock in this colour, this is a good way to remedy that. Get your envelopes out, your business document envelopes, and all I do is cut them down. And because I've made this as a FCM cut file for your scan and cut, that's F for Freddy, C for cat, M for market, FCM cut file. All I do is I cut this down and I cut it out, and look how neat the scan and cut cuts. It does a beautiful job. If you haven't got an electronic cutting machine, don't panic, because there's a PDF file and you just cut it out by hand and just use your corner punch to round your corners. That'll work as well. So firstly, you can use a large envelope to make these. The colour is not quite as real looking, but it still works really well. you can use a smaller A5 size envelope. One out of the way. That's just a smaller envelope. Again, for office documents. And the same with this one. All it is just a slightly different colour. So I've got 3 colours here. Right. Just say I'll use a smaller one so it fits in the screen, and I'll use it in this colour. Doesn't matter what size your envelope is, the same process will apply. So we start off by getting rid of this flap here. So I just turn it over, and I'm just going to take off a slither off the top. This is the opening of the envelope, and I'm just removing the flap. I'm just removing a slither of paper from the side, so that's freeing up the side now. Remove a slither from the bottom, and I end up with a big sheet of paper. Right, but I'll go all the way around and remove another slither off the other piece. Now that will make me 2 pockets, this A5 size. If I was to use this big fella here, I'd get 4 pockets. When you choose your envelope, if you have some of these and you want to use these are coloured on both sides. So when you pick up your envelope packs, just note these are white inside. These are coloured both sides. So if you're going to go to, your Walmart or Big W or wherever you buy your envelopes from, take notice of that. But if you do use these big ones, I'll show you how you fix that up. Step 1, I've cut my envelope apart, and now I've cut out my pocket. So that's that piece there. If I was to use the one that is white on the inside, like that, I cut out my pocket exactly the same. I cut my envelope apart, and then I have an extra piece here, and when I make it up, I'll show you what I've done. I've folded over all my pieces, and can you see there? I've just put a mat over this white area. So I need to cover that white area up. I can glue that on there, but I'm going to sit that over the top, and I'm going to trace around it. I'll move it up there so I don't waste anything, and I'm just going to trace around it there. Round those corners nicely. If it doesn't fit, it will show. I'll glue all that down, and that will disappear to the inside of the pocket. So all is not lost if you get an envelope that's white on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to do it in real time. Just remember that keep this piece on your right hand side because it is folded over like that. But what I do is I turn it around. Now that's my inside so that I can fold it back on itself. I line up that area, score it, fold it down, and then when I turn it back, that becomes my front. Then I score again here to make that flap come over to the front. Put a little bit of glue here and here, and I was staying away from up there. Remember that? Just needs to go there. This glue is art glitter glue. It is quite strong, dries clear, and is perfect for this sort of work. The last thing you want to do is get glue in that area there and glue down that pocket. Once you've cut this out, super fast. It doesn't take much time at all. And you put the library card in there. You can put that on the front of a file portfolio cover. You can put it on the inside. You could put it on the front of a signature. You could put it on just a page. Where's a page? You could just open it up and have it on a page. You can have it anywhere at all that you want to use a library card. So that's that one done. I'll just very quickly explain the library card. There's a faint grey line there. All you do for this one is cut the card out, cutting away the grey line. You don't need it. So you just end up with a blank card, no outline. Oh, and what I've done too is I did make one in the same manila file folder. I made it the same as the cover. Okay, so that's the library pocket and card done. I'll just move on to the next one, which is the business card slot holder pocket. To make this, all you need to do is print out, if you're using the PDF, print out the template, trace that around directly onto the manila folder. So you're cutting out, you get your manila folder, cut it down the side here. We'll start off by just separating the file folder like we did on the cover itself. You just cut away the fold line, so that gives you two separate pieces, and you just need the blank piece, the plain colour, and lay that down on there and trace around your pieces if you're cutting by hand, and cut out your slot. Now I'll show you how to cut out this little slot just so you don't overcut your corners. I'll trace it out for you. So you just trace out your little slot and say we're cutting that out. So I'll cut down and I will stop before I get to the corner. All right, and I'm going to turn my knife around and go to the corner and come back to where I stopped cutting. I'm going to come back to this corner and cut down, and I'm going to stop before I get to the corner again. If you keep going and go to that corner, you could overcut, and that will ruin the look of your cover of your pocket. Come back to the corner and cut back and join that line up. The same here, cut down to the middle and stop. Down to the middle and stop. Turn your work all the way around. Come from the corner and join that up, and see how it frees that little bit up now, and that's a very neat cut. And the same there from the corner, and join that up to there, and it'll cut away and give you a nice neat cut. And see if you have any little where I joined my cut there, just tidy it up with a ruler. And that is how you get yourself a nice neat hand cut slot. Now there's 3 pieces to this to end up like this. This piece here, you can turn it that way and have your slot up high on the pocket, or you can turn it around that way and have the slot lower on the pocket. It is entirely up to yourself. Today we'll make it lower on the pocket, and what that will do is allow you to just sit something in there. I'll show you the difference. It really is entirely up to yourself on what you want to either stamp on the bottom or put in the pocket as to which way you do it. It's pretty useful both ways. So this little skinny piece here, you might be wondering what it is. All it is a spacer that goes between these 2 pieces here, so that when you're putting something in here, it just gives a little bit more room to be able to, you know, use the slot. I found that when it lays flat on there, it's a little bit harder to use this little slot pocket. So the space is there just to make it easier to use. No point making something that is a little bit difficult to use. So that's what that's for. Start off by colouring your edges first if you're going to colour. Now the reason we do that is because once you glue and you want to put the colour over the glue repels the colour. So we do the colour first. And because I'm only colouring the edge of the cardboard, I'm only going to do that. I'm not going to take a full colour here because I'm going to cover this area. So I'm only colouring the edge of the cardboard for this particular bit. This top bit is going to be seen. So I will colour that properly. So I go like that and do my normal distress inking that I normally would do. So I just done that laying flat. It was just a bit easier. All right. Now while I'm at it, I might as well go and colour this as well. Now I'm going to colour around this opening as well. Now, instead of going over the glass mat so you can see what I'm doing, I'll just do it here. Right, now I've taken a bit of colour off my sponge and I'm just going to go circular motions over it until it picks up a bit of colour on the edge of that slot and a little bit around the back. And that's all that needs. It doesn't need a real lot. Okay, so that's ready to put together. So all I'm going to do is put the glue on the spacer. Don't over glue it, it will squish out everywhere. So I go in little dots and that helps it to just not be messy. I'm just going to pick my piece up with my tweezers, holding it here, squaring it up on the bottom corner to the bottom corner here, and then pivot that piece here on and that piece here on. Very gently patting it down. I'm not squashing it just yet. I'm going to give it a minute, not even a minute. I'm just going to give it a moment for the glue to settle down, and then I'm going to gently pat it down. Gently. While that's just sitting there, and then I'll come back and I'll really, really push on it to flatten it down. I'm going to get this piece, turn it over, and I'm only gluing around the edge to the top. A nice thin bead of glue, don't over glue here. Same reason, it will make a mess and your pocket won't be a really easy to use pocket. Now I'm going to flatten down firmly that spacer piece. It doesn't raise it up very high at all. It's just high enough to use it. So I'm going to turn this piece over now with the glue on it. Corner at the bottom corner on both bottoms. You get the shortest amount of wiggle room with this glue here. It is really, really catches quick. Gently, I'm not over squashing, and see how I've got no glue coming out using that method. Whoop, there's a tiny bit there. That's not bad. And I'm not pushing it down just yet. I'm just patting it. And I can feel the coolness that, you know, that the glue is working. It's just a little bit cool under that paper. So I know it's there. These plain business cards are great. You write your email on it and your phone number. If you want to, you turn them over and you put your, you know, junk journal ideas on there, your website name, your name. You can use these to your advantage. They're just nice and plain and they're simple. Just say you meet someone and you want their email and their phone number. Write their email, their phone number, and their name on the back. So you've got your journal with you. I wouldn't take this out with me, but just say you had a smaller journal with you and your portfolio, and you've got your cards there ready to go. You have an option to put whatever you want on the front of these. I'm leaving them blank today so I don't take up too much time, but you can do this or this. Just use whatever ink stamp you've got that you like. You can collage, you can put anything on there. So let's have a look at the business cards. We've got white with a bit of distress ink around the edge, if you've only got white paper. And we've got a coloured cardstock. Now the coloured cardstock is just a nice, it's not quite manila colour. Like this is your manila colour. So it's a little bit different what I had, but similar. You could definitely use your manila folder. See how the colour is a little bit different. You could definitely cut this to size and put it through your printer. This white one I used 200 GSM. It is a pro paper. I'll put this on the screen here, what the paper was called. This is it, the same in a parchment paper. This is a paper. I'm pretty sure you can get parchment in a cardstock. I've just printed it to show you the colour. This is 200 GSM cardstock, white, but I've printed a vintage background and printed the email print over the top. So if you've got something yourself in your DigiKit or whatever you've got, just know that you can print your own background and print these email cards over the top of your own, whatever you have yourself that you might like. So it's pretty versatile. You can print this business card out however you like. Again, when you're cutting these, cut away the black line. You only want to be left with the business card with no black line around the edge. I'll just clear the table and get ready the small tea card holder. Now these are great because nearly everybody I talk to loves tea cards, has tea cards or wants tea cards. So we need somewhere to display them. These little tea card pockets, you can put the tea cards inside the pocket, on top of the pocket or behind the pocket. Here's our demo folder. We'll glue a few things in this folder when we're finished. Hopefully this video won't be too long. There's so many pieces to put in it. I'm afraid it is going to be a bit long. What I'll do is I'll make some timestamps and I'll put that in the description below. So when you want to come back to just say these little tea card pockets, just go to the numbers below and it might have number, 32.8 or something. Just click on that little timestamp number and it'll bring you straight to this section of the video. It's a two-piece pattern, the back and the front. Same applies. We colour the edges if you want them coloured. I'm using the manila folder again because it's a set. You can use a designer cardstock. You can use anything at all, whatever you've got in your stash. I'm using vintage photo to colour up. I'm going to glue down that side across the bottom and there. The way I've cut this piece out, again I've used my scan and cut machine. It cuts a beautiful pattern piece out. It's cut everything. It cut that slot there for me. The pattern you've got at home, if you've got the PDF file, hasn't got this cut out. It would just be straight like that. So you're going to get your oval punch and come along and sit that there and just punch a thumb hole there. Now we colour the top. I should have done that while I had that out, shouldn't I? You get talking. It's harder than you think when you're doing these videos. It's harder to remember what you're trying to say and do, because you've got to make something and remember what it is that you've said and done. And I've got the memory of a 90-year-old. Right, now I'm ready to glue that down. So I'm only gluing. Don't make the mistake of coming in and gluing your bottom piece. Always glue the piece that you're going to glue on. If I was to glue the bottom piece, I'd have glue up there and nothing to stick to it. So I'm only gluing my shortest piece. So I'm going to go corner to corner again to get that straight and let it fold, and it just follows itself up there that way. For the T card, you can then get your little alphabet stamps out and just stamp it with the obvious T cards, but it looks so cute. Just print out the word T card and just build it up on some layers and put that on there. I'll show you how to make this one in a minute. And you can just put a T card, glue that straight on the top. And you can also not have it as a T card and have it as something entirely different. Nothing is set in concrete when you get these blank templates. You can change them up, make them into whatever you want. What I've done with this one is I got some of those round hole reinforcers, still using the manila folder. I stuck them on the top of the manila folder. Then I got my tattered rose colour in the distress ink and I coloured all over the top of just this piece. So I only put the hole reinforcers on here. Then I coloured over the top. Then I removed the hole reinforcers. So I just peeled them off. And then I got a black pen and I loosely drew loose circles. And then I got a white gel pen and loosely drew white circles around the centre of the holes. And there's a nice cute little pattern, something different. If you don't have a lot of pattern paper, make up your own using your distress inks. It doesn't have to be a T card pocket. Again, the pattern is available for this one in an FCM cut file as well as the PDF. The way I've made this one here fits a T card nicely. They're 100 seed packets or seed pockets they're calling them, but they are envelopes. That's all they are, a little envelope. I measure down 2.5 inches and put a mark. 2.5 inches and put a mark. I cut the bottom off. When you're cutting, hold your ruler firm, put your finger, do half a cut, put your finger on the top piece and hold it down. That will stop it from slipping away from you and making a crooked cut. Don't throw that out. You've got yourself a handy little pocket to put somewhere else. Cut a thumb hole in it, cut it down shorter, do whatever you want with it. Okay, I'm going to measure 1/2 inch up because that's going to be fold at the back. Like that there. So just measure 1/2 inch up. Have you noticed I swapped between centimetres and inches? And the reason I do that is because I'm a little bit old-fashioned. I was around when we had inches in Australia and then we changed to metric. So I can use both, and sometimes the inches just fall in the perfect place for me and sometimes the centimetres fall in the perfect place for me. And I know that you can do a conversion using Google if I use one or the other. So I'm not too worried about swapping between the two when I do my tutorials. So I hope you don't mind, but it does work really well for me sometimes. So now I've marked my 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut off because that is joined at the sides here. See that? I'll come in a bit closer for you, and I'm going to put my knife on that ruler mark there, and I'm going to cut away that corner, the tiniest little slither off, gone. Same on this side. All I'm doing is cutting away the fold line, okay? Actually, I'll come in a bit more so it's on an angle, so it actually gets rid of the corner, so when I fold it you can't see it. Okay. Then I want to get rid, okay, that's my back. So that's the piece I'm going to now fold that piece. I'm going to use my little scraper again, and that's going to be the piece I don't want. So I'm going to get rid of that piece there. So I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut that piece away. I don't need that piece there, it will just add bulk. Okay, so just cut that piece away. Then I'm going to put my ruler back on again and go ahead and get that piece ready for folding over. So you can see now when I cut that edge off, I can get rid of that pencil mark, where I cut that edge off of the fold and angled it in, it's going to hide itself there. So when I turn it over, you can't see it. The new fold line is now the bottom of the pocket. So before I go any further, I'm going to make it the new bottom by gluing it down. So this is a cheats pocket. This is a cheats tea card pocket. There's your pocket made. You can colour it. I like seeing that little fold that comes with it, that already is on it. So you just colour it up. When you buy a packet of these, you get 100, and look how many I've used. I use these for so many things. I make lots of stuff out of these. I'm always repurposing them and making them up into something else. I often colour these laying down on the table. It somehow just makes it a bit easier, but because it's a bit flimsier, this paper. Don't need to do the back because we're going to glue that down. We can go ahead and put a little sentiment on that. Tea card stamp across there. That one's pretty easy. When we glue that one down, we can glue it. Say we glue it there. We just glue it on 3 sides so that we've got a tuck spot there and we've got somewhere to put something in there. You can also glue a little round disc on there with, you know, say if you're giving this as a gift and you're giving it to Mum and her name is Dawn, you just put a D on there or something. There's so many ways that you can personalise this. So that's our tea cards made, and I think they look pretty cute. I'll just clear my table and get ready for the next one to show you. We'll make the sticky note booklets next. Well, I'm back to make the sticky note booklet. We've got 2 sizes. Again, this is a very versatile pattern. You can make it in size small or a larger one. This is the large size that I've used making the manila folder cardstock again, recycling at its best. The second way of doing it is to just have it in the plain colour with nothing on it, and then stamp it with whatever you like that you want to use. Like I've done on this one, I've just used a clear stamp, and I used the ink that matches all the distress inking I've been doing. The third option is to print it out on a cardstock. This is the manila, like I think I just said that. This is a manila cardstock. I just cut down the file folder. I just cut it away like I did on the others. I cut it down to an A4 size and I put it through my printer. And that comes out a really nice colour. No, wrong one, this one. That comes out a really nice colour. This one here is the craft. The craft cardstock we all know and love. It's a little bit darker, but it turns out lovely as well. So there's the same printable, but printed on two different colour cardstocks. Here's the small one printed on a designer cardstock. So I've just cut it out and it just looks so good no matter what you do with it. Here's another one. The manila cardstock again. I've just cut out the shape and this time I decoupaged it with a napkin. The layout of the inside of this is entirely up to yourself on how you put it together. This, instead of being a sticky note booklet, can be used as a writing pad. Just put a little writing pad in here and glue it in this way. Super, super versatile. So let's make one up. The lines are a little bit faint on this, so if you want to just pop that on there and cut it out and you're confident that you can see that line, just do that. Just cut right on that line. It's totally cut made to measure. You do not cut on that black line. The black line is only to show you that it's 4 inches at the back, an 1/8 of an inch spine, 4 inches at the front. You cut the faint line beside it, not the black line. If you can't see it properly, just put a pencil mark right there and there. And you can see my pencil mark a bit better. That's the line you need to cut. So we just put my knife on the pencil line and butt the ruler up against that and then cut that off. Okay, now we need to put the score lines in. If I mark 4 inches there and then 1/8 of an inch there, I always seem to end up with it never matches properly. So I'm going to turn it around so that I start with, I'd rather cut a little bit off the back than ruin my front. So I start by getting my 4-inch mark here and score. So that's my front. I know it's at 4 inches. Then I'm going to score again to get 1/8 of an inch. So there's my mark there and there. That gives me 1/8 of an inch. I don't need to do anything more to that because there's my front fold, my spine, and my back will be that teeny weeny little bit longer. I don't know why it does that. It just does. So I'm going to get my first line and gently fold it. Then I'm going to make sure that that marker there and that marker there are even, and I'll burnish that down. I'm going to turn it over and you can see my score line for the back. Open it up and I'm just going to gently use my fingers because it's so close. That score line is so close. It just sometimes is a little bit fiddly to try and bend it without ruining the rest of my cover. So I'm just bending it with my fingers first and then I'm going to make sure it's square and then burnish. Alright, then I come back and fold the front back over and burnish it as well. Now you will see that my back is a teeny bit longer than my front. So I'm going to fold it back out, measure check it. I'm swapping back to my centimetres. See, 4 inches is just a little bit out past here, so I'm going to go to the 10 centimetre mark. I'm going to turn it around I'm going to mark it on my 10 centimetre, and I'm just going to trim that tiny little bit of excess off, being certain that that's all it needs is a teeny tiny little trim. And that is good. And we can round the corners if you want to. And we'll distress ink the edges. This design is already antiqued. It's already aged. So you only need to really, you don't need to do the back because we're gluing it down. Just murky it up a little bit more where you feel you need to. Don't do it a real lot because it's already dark. You don't really need to do the inside because we're going to use some sticky notes to put on the inside. Now, I'm not going to stick them in, but all I've done is I had some sticky notes. I went through them and I separated the pack and I kept some, and now I'll just go along and I'll take these off here and I'll put them in my new book. If you were going to glue this down, just peel that off there and glue it down, and just say it didn't stick properly, just come in with your glue and just put a little bit of glue on the back there. Some of them, the quality of them stick really well, that's stuck on pretty good, and some of them don't. These ones here, when I stuck them down, they didn't want to stay there, so I put a bit of glue just on the back of the top of them so that they would stick there, and I can come along and just peel one off as I want to use them. So I'll show you how to do the smaller one and how I go about resizing it. So I'll just colour the edges of this just to get rid of that white on the edge. It's not going to do too much else. There we go. All right. This is what I mean by separating the sticky note. Here's a pack that I bought that was on sale in Officeworks. I pick up anything like this. If it's on sale, I'll grab it. If it's at a garage sale, grab it. So they've got lots of little notepads in it. But see, this one will fit that. But just say I wanted to use that one and I really liked it. I'm not going to, but just say I was. And I'll pretend it's this one. And I've got a lot of them. I'll come along and I'll work out that I might want that many. I'll put my knife in there like that, just to separate them. And then I'll peel that off. And instead of putting it down that way, I'll put it this way. I'll work out how big it needs to be. I'll go that way. That's how big my cover is, right? So I know that I'm going to cut my sticky note pad smaller. So I'm going to come along and I'm just going to slice off all those extras. These coloured manila colour ones are really cheap here in Australia. So I can afford to trim away these bits without worrying about that, I'm wasting money. So there, now I turn it over. I've resized it and I can just load that in. Again, if you thought it was going to be a little bit naughty, you can just glue it in. And if I was to glue that in and then use it all up, say I whacked a bit of glue on that, and the time come where it was my last one stuck in and I've got that glued down, you go, oh, now what? All I do is cut some more and glue them on that last little sticky note. I got these from Officeworks as well. Aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they the most adorable little sticky note pads? And they're the ones I think I stuck in there. They're the little novelty ones. They look gorgeous. I love them. That's how we put the little sticky note booklets together. I'll just get ready to make the mini file folder up. It's the easiest of the lot. I'll clear my table and get ready to show you that one. Okay, this is the one we're making next. A very easy little mini file folder. You can use it as a pocket, just to tuck into a tuck spot. Get everything out of the way, just poking out like that. You can use it in any of these little places here. Perfect for a little tuck spot. Or you can glue the sides down here and glue it down to here, and then it becomes a pocket here to put things in, as well as a pocket at the back. Get your PDF file, cut out the file folder, and it's almost done. There is the FCM file again. Anyone who's got an electronic cutting machine will love it. It just goes boom, 1 minute, and you got 2 cut out. They're so easy. Get your file folder, fold it whichever way you want to fold it, line up the top bits without creasing the bottom, line up the top bits corner to corner, get your bone folder, dent it in the middle and crease it, dent it in the middle and crease it, and then go along and crease it. That will give you a nice permanent finish. There's your file folder made. It's up to you how you decorate it. You can put little stamps on it. If you've got one of them Dymo label makers, put a label on it. Make your own labels, put them on. Put a little vintage receipt in it. You know, you can have it going that way or that way, and you can glue it down and make a pocket out of it. All I do is put a little bit of glue on both sides. Whoops, I've gone a bit wide. Hold it down just for a little moment. Let that glue take hold. See how it just gapes that little bit? Got yourself a pocket. Obviously, we like things that show. When we put stuff in our pockets, we want to see it. Use a rubber stamp. I just put this little received rubber stamp on it, and then a separate rubber stamp, just stamp the date. It is just so nice. In this one, I've done this as a contrast, and I think that looks a bit better. If you do too much of the same thing, sometimes it's like, whoa, it's just too much of the same thing. And this one here, I've decorated it a lot different as well by using the corner of a ripped off envelope, and I placed the corner of the envelope over the front part of the pocket before I glued over the front part of the it goes that way. Over the corner, I glued it down before I closed the pocket. All right, that's how I done that one. Now, there was one more I was going to show you. What was it? Oh, that's right. I'll just show you how I made this one here. All I done was, when I cut away my manila folder, I got the part that had the print on the inside. I just placed that where I want my pattern to be, right there, and trace around it, and then I would hand cut that out. These are really, really easy to make, and they look lovely in these portfolios. Hang around for the photos. I'll show you a few different ways of how they can go in these portfolios, just to give you some more ideas. Grab yourself a copy of all of these patterns. I've made the kit available. The kit's available, the measurements for the cover, and all of these pieces, or every single piece that you see here that I've made for you today, including this little tiny little, what is it, just a tuck spot, including that, is all available in the kit. So pop on over to my website. The kit is available right now in PDF and FCM cut file in the website shop right now. Grab yourself a copy while it's discounted for a limited time. I'm Donna. Thanks for watching and bye for now.